Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are doing good. It is morning, so I hope you guys are having a good morning. Um, this is like day 4 or 5 of quarantine, and I'm starting to lose it. I really am. So this might all just be ramblings of a madman. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. But I am starting to lose it. I'm getting real bad flashbacks to last year. It is not good times, but it's almost over, I guess. It's fine. But yeah. All right. Well, welcome to today's lesson. Today we are talking about our next expression of cultural identity, and that is art. All right. So far we looked at music, we looked at dance, we've looked at food. Okay. Now we're gonna take a second and talk about art, and this is actual visual art. Okay, that we're gonna be looking at. All right. So if you want to take your notebook, jot some things down that might be helpful. Okay. Hopefully this Edpuzzle works. So just when I pause, you just take a second and stop and fill out what I ask you to fill out. All right. All right. So as we are discussing art, this is just a very quick crash course into how to analyze art. Okay. Yeah, I did take 19th century art freshman year of college. That was like, oh my gosh, 4 or 5, like, oh my gosh, almost 7 years ago. Ugh, I'm gonna throw up. I'm so old, you guys. Honestly, I'm getting up there. Like, this body's not what it used to be. As we speak, my lower back is like on fire. And yeah, man, nobody likes you when you're 24. That's facts, but it's fine. Anyway, so these are things that I learned when I took art classes back in the day. I'm not an artist whatsoever, but I do know how to appreciate and analyze a good piece of art. Okay, so here are some things to kind of think about, right? Because we're gonna be doing this in a second. So one, you want to look at physical features of the art. Okay, you want to take a look, and I know it's kind of hard online when you're looking at things on a computer screen, right? But you want to think about like what size is the art? Is it like a small portrait? Is it a massive mural? Is it on the side of a building? Does it fit in your wallet or in a little locket? What is that about? Right? You want to also look at when was it made? Who was it made by? Give some context to that. Where was it made? Okay. Was it made in Mexico? Was it made in Guatemala? Was it made in the United States? If so, where? Right? So you want to look at all these physical features as well too. As well as like, is it a painting? Is it graffiti? Is it a street mural? Is it a sculpture? Like, what kinds of physical features does it have? Okay. Then you want to look at artistic choices. So after you kind of analyze that and just kind of take it in, then you want to start looking at what did the artist choose that makes this piece of work unique. So you want to look at the style. Is it done in any specific style? And again, I don't expect you guys to know the different styles, right? But if you are analyzing a piece, you want to think about like, is it Baroque? Is it Rococo? Is it neoclassical, Art Deco? You know, there's a lot of different kinds of art styles, right? That might be helpful to know about, right? But then you want to look at color choice as well as that as well too, right? Did the artist choose to make it really bright and cheery? Did the artist choose really dark colors? Is it gloomy? All right. Think about the brush stroke as well as if it's a painting, right? Are there really like a hard and thick brush strokes, or is it more of like an airy painting with really soft brush strokes, right? Think of the pigmentation. Think of the placement of the image, the scene, right? So what kinds of things is the artist choosing to include in their piece of art, right? So like, did they include like maybe stars or a flag of some sort? Is there any kind of symbolism, right? So you want to think about all the things that the artist would have to choose, right? And that would be the next step in analysis. And then finally, you want to try to think about meaning. All right. So you can think about, right, what is the artist trying to get across at this point? Like, what message are they trying to send? And the cool thing about art, you guys, is that we can like sit here and debate all day about what the artist was trying to to say the message that they were trying to give, right? But at the end of the day, everybody takes in art on their own, okay? So you want to think about also like how do you interpret a piece of art? Like what does that art mean to you? How do you kind of view it and how do you understand it? Okay? And that's the meaning part. So follow these 3 steps. That's basic art analysis 101. Okay? So the very first thing, and I'm going to include this video separately because I can't play a video while recording a video. But the first person we're going to look at, arguably the most famous, is Frida Kahlo. All right? Frida Kahlo was a Mexican artist. Okay? She was born, disputed. She says she was born in 19, other people say she was born a different day, right? But she lived from the 1910s around there to about the 1950s, okay? So she did die young. She had a lot of health complications. I'll let the video tell you more about her, but let's take a look at her art. Side note, this summer I went to see, it was so cool, you guys. If you ever get a chance to go to Mexico City, please go. Honestly, other than Chicago, the coolest city in the world. It's so dope. But I went to her house. It's called La Casa Azul, where she lived, where she was born, lived, did a bunch of her art, and died. And I saw her house. I saw her bedroom. I saw her ashes. I saw that bed that she died in. It was crazy. It was crazy, but very cool. Anyway, so the first piece of art that I'd like us to analyze is this one here. It's called Self-Portrait with Thorn Necklace and a Hummingbird. This is the one of her most famous self-portraits. Okay, so take a second, think about like the steps of the analysis, right? What artistic choices did Frida choose, right? It's a portrait, right? So that means something. Take a look at the things in the background. Is there any symbolism? And then think about like what does this mean, either from Frida herself or what does it mean to you? All right, next one we're going to look at, it's another one by Frida Kahlo. This is another really famous one, and it's a self-portrait, again, too, because she's painting herself. And this one's called The Two Fridas, okay? So same as the last one. This is a really interesting one. Same as the last one. Think about the different aspects of what Frida chose to put to her painting. Think about, like, look at the background. Look at, is there any symbolism happening, right? Look at the color scheme. Does that have any meaning, right? A lot of the times artists like include a lot of symbolism in their work, right? So we try to decode it and try to find the meaning of it. So take a second, really analyze it, get in there, and come up with some conclusions. Okay, here's another one. This is another Frida. This is another really interesting. This is a self-portrait as well, too. Okay, and this one is called Self-Portrait Along the Borderline Between Mexico and the United States. So this one has a lot of symbolism. Okay, so take a second, same as the last one. Get in there, kind of see what's going on. All right. So this one is by Diego Rivera. Okay. And Diego Rivera was Frida Kahlo's husband, okay? So he was older than her. He was already an established artist, and they were married, but they had hella drama in their lives. Like he cheated on her, and then she cheated on him, and then he cheated on her to get back at her, and then she cheated on him to get back at him. It was a mess, okay? They broke up, got back together multiple times. But that's like, Frida was his boo. Like that's his girl, okay? And vice versa. But Diego Rivera was a very talented artist in his own right. He did a lot of artworks concerning like everyday Mexican people, okay? And they're both from Mexico City, by the way. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. All right. So this is one of his most famous ones as well, too. This piece of art is called The Flower Carrier, okay? So take a second, take it in, right? Think about the artistic choices, right? The color schemes, the style, right? The placement of the subjects in the art. Notice how they take up most space, right? Like the background, the lighting choices, right? Take a second, analyze that. Okay, we have another one here. This is another really famous Diego Rivera. Okay, this one is called Woman Grinding Maize. All right, so same thing as the last one. All right, take a look at the subject. Right, he puts her right in the middle, takes up almost the entire painting. Does that have any meaning to it? Okay, take a look at the background. Right, she's wearing white. Right, kind of stands out against the darker background. Does that have any meaning? All right, take a look at what she's doing. This is an action shot where her eyes are. Her eyes look kind of closed, right? So all these things could have different meaning. So same thing, analyze that. Okay. And then again, I can't put this video in here, so I'll put it separately. But this is a really interesting one about Diego Rivera. He did a lot of murals, really symbolic, massive murals. I saw a few of them when I went to Mexico City. They're super dope. And his most famous one is actually in Detroit. And he did it for the Ford Company in Detroit. And it's still there today. You can go and see it at the Detroit Institute of Art. So we'll take a second to watch this video. I mean, obviously I'll put the link separately. But yeah, so those are our two examples, Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera, right? The reason that I chose them for this one is because of how much of an impact they've had on art, specifically on Latin American art. Those are the two of the biggest names in art in general, right? But they have a lot of meaning for Latin American culture. A lot of their work revolves around Latin America, right? And this is a form of cultural identity that a lot of the times we don't, I mean, unless your family or your parents are like super into the art scene, this is one that we don't really see a lot, right? Like the music and food and dance, that's pretty readily available, right? But this is kind of more obscure, okay? So I think it's really important that we expose ourselves to these other types of cultural identity as well too, right? I recommend, hopefully we could take a field trip. I don't know if they're going to let us this year, low key, but I really want to go to the Mexican Museum of Art. Okay, it's in Pilsen, so maybe we can get that set up. Maybe closer to Halloween, we'll figure that out. But so we can take a look at these different kinds of art because I think it's really important for us to understand this aspect of cultural identity as well.